Today we are going to do a question of trust chapter from your supplementary reader. So it is written by Victor Canning, a British novelist and writer. Okay, so there are let us talk about character. There is one Horace Danby, who is a middle aged man. ठीक है, लेकिन वो अभी तक मैरिड नहीं किया है. ठीक है, and he is a caretaker. He has a caretaker. He lives very well life as a honest citizen. Okay. Now his housekeeper was always worried about him. He gets attack of hay fever in summer. ठीक है. He, he was not completely honest before 15 years. He sentenced to prison. He was loving to read book and so he steal money every year. ठीक है, तो ये पढ़ते हैं हम, फिर हमको पता चलेगा. So everyone thought that Horace Danby was a good, honest citizen. He was about 50 years old and unmarried, and he lived with a housekeeper who worried over his health. In fact, he was usually very well and happy except for attacks of hay fever in summer. He made locks and was successful enough at his business to have two helpers. Yes, Horace Danby was good and respectable, but not completely honest. 15 years ago, Horace had served his first and only sentence in a prison library. He loved rare, expensive books, so he robbed a safe every year. Each year, he planned carefully just what he would do, stole enough to last for 12 months, and secretly bought the books he loved through an agent. Now, walking to the bright July sunshine, he felt sure that this year's robbery was going to be successful as all the others. For 2 weeks, he had been studying the house of Shotavar Gang, looking at its rooms, its electric wiring, its paths and its garden. This afternoon, the two servants who remained in the gang while the family was in London had gone in the movie to the movies. Horace saw them go, and he felt happy in spite of a little tickle of hay fever in his nose. He came out from behind the garden wall, his tools carefully packed in a bag on his back. There were about £15,000 worth of jewel in the Grange safe. If he sold them one by one, he expected to get at least 5,000, enough to make him happy for another year. There were three very interesting books coming up for the sale in the autumn. Now he would get the money he wanted to buy them. ठीक है, तो अभी उसे क्या हॉबी थी कि उसे एक्सपेंसिव बुक्स पढ़ने की. तो उसके लिए वो क्या करता था, रॉबरी करता था. ठीक है, वो जो ओरिजिनल प्राइस थी वो तो उसको नहीं मिलेगी, राइट. तो क्या हर साल एक बार सेफ को चुराता था. ठीक, फिर वो 1 साल के लिए चलता था. अभी इस बार वो अपने नेबर में ही एक ग्रैंग करके एक लोग हैं, उनका घर पे वो चुराने वाले थे. ठीक है, सो ही हैड स्टडीड द प्लेस वेयर ही हैज टू रॉब. ही प्लान्स फॉर 1 year. ठीक है, he was confident that he won't be caught. He decided to rob in Grang's house, so the owner was not there. Two servants were there. He used to constantly observe. He was waiting for opportunity. ठीक है, the two servants went to see movie, and he planned everything, packed necessity, and went. He had only one problem, that is, it was summer, and he is suffering from hay fever. He decided to take £15,000 jewelry and sell it at least £500. He can live a lavish life by this much and buy three new books. Okay, let's read further. He had seen a housekeeper hang the key onto the kitchen door and on the hook outside. He put on a pair of gloves, took the key, and opened the door. He was always careful not to leave any fingerprints. A small dog was lying in the kitchen. It stirred, made a noise, and moved its tail in the friendly way. All right, Sherry, Horace said as he passed. All you had to do to keep dogs quiet was to call them by the right names, to show them love. The safe was in the drawing room, behind a rather poor painting. Horace wondered for a moment whether he should collect pictures instead of books. But they took up too much room. In a small house, books were better. There was a great bowl of flowers on the table, and Horace felt his nose tickle. He gave a little sneeze and then put down his bag. He carefully arranged his tools. He had 4 hours before the servants returned. The safe was not going to be hard to open. After all, he had lived with locks and safes all his life. The burglar alarm was poorly built. He went into the hall to cut his wire. He came back and sneezed loudly, and as the smell of flowers came to him again. How foolish people are when they own valuable things, Horace thought. A magazine article had described his house, giving a plan of all the rooms and a picture of this room. The writer had even mentioned the painting of had a safe. But Horace found that the flowers were hindering him in his work. He buried his face in his handkerchief. Then he heard a voice say from the doorway, "What is it? A cold or hay fever?" Before he could think, Horace said hay fever, and found himself sneezing again. The voice went on, "You can cure it with a special treatment. You know, it if you find out just what plant gives you the disease. I think you would better see a doctor if you are serious about your walk. I heard you from the top of the house just now." ठीक है, आगे पढ़ते हैं हम। तो हुआ क्या, अभी उधर वो गया, ठीक है, उसे सब कुछ पता था कौन सी जगह पे क्या था। उसने थोड़ी देर तो सोचा जो पेंटिंग के पीछे जो सेफ था क्यों ना वो पेंटेड ले ले, लेकिन उसको लगा कि छोटे हाउस में पेंटिंग नहीं, उससे अच्छा बुक अच्छी है, ठीक है। और उधर क्या थी, उसको बीच में मिला एक डॉग, तो उसे पता था डॉग को शांत कैसे करवाने का। जब भी वो कैसे इधर रॉबरी के लिए जाता था, बीच में उसे कभी भी डॉग मिल जाते तो उसको क्या करना था, सिर्फ उसको नाम से बुलाना था, एंड इट वॉज डन। उसने अपने फ्रेंड जो टेल थी वो फ्रेंडली हिला दी, ठीक है। फिर और बीच में उधर क्या फ्लावर्स थे, तो उसे स्नीज करने लगा क्योंकि समर का समय था, ठीक है ना। उसको 4 घंटे तक सर्वेंट्स बाहर ही रहने वाले थे, तो इजीली सेफ खोल के जा सकता था। सो एक उसके पास गुड बर्गलरी अलार्म नहीं था घर पे, इसलिए उसने डिस्कनेक्ट कर दिया वायर्स। So after coming back, he sneezed louder due to flowers. Now he knew where safes are kept, as it was there in magazine. उसको है ना मैगजीन में सब कुछ बताया हुआ था कि ये पिक्चर के पीछे ये है वो है। So he decided to hide his nose. हैंकरचिप से है फीवर के कारण उसने हैंकरचिप बांध दिया, ठीक है। लेकिन क्या उसने एक वुमन का आवाज आया कि इज इट अ कोल्ड और अ हे फीवर। तो कुछ सोचे बिना हॉरेस कुछ सोचे उसके पहले तो उसने बोल दिया हे फीवर, ठीक है। तो उसने बोला कि खुद को ट्रीट करवा दो, ये मैंने तुम्हें टॉप फ्लोर से सुन लिया, ठीक है। सो द वॉइस वॉज नॉट स्ट्रिक्ट, इतना आवाज स्ट्रिक्ट नहीं था। सो हॉरेस को लगा कि ये कुछ ट्रबल नहीं करेगी, ठीक है। So it was quiet, kindly voice, but one with firmness in it. A woman was standing in a doorway, and Sherry was rubbing against her. She was a young, quiet, pretty, and was dressed in red. She walked to the fireplace and straightened the ornaments there. "Down, Sherry," she said. "Anyone would think I would been away for a month." She smiled at Horace and went on. "However, I came back just in time, though I didn't expect to meet a burglar." Horace had some hope because she seemed to be amused at meeting him. He might avoid trouble if he had treated her the right way. He replied, "I didn't expect to meet one of the family." She nodded. "I see what the inconvenience it is for you to meet me. What are you going to do?" Horace said. "My first thought was to run." "Of course, you could do that, but I would telephone the police and tell them all about you. They would get you at once." Horace said, "I would, of course, cut the telephone wires first and then." He hesitated and smiled on his face. "I would make sure that you could do nothing for some time. A few hours would be enough. She looked at him seriously. You would hurt me. Horace paused and then said, I think I was trying to frighten you when I said that. You didn't frighten me, Horace suggested. It would be nice if you would forget you ever saw me. Let me go. The voice was suddenly sharp. Why should I? You were going to rob me. If I let you go, you will be only rob someone else. Society must be protected from men like you. ठीक है. तो अभी क्या हुआ? आवाज तो इतना काइंड आवाज था, ठीक है. सो अभी जो डॉग था उसे रब करने लगा, ठीक है. उसने कहा कि नीचे बैठ जाओ, तो नीचे बैठने लगा. तो उसने कहा कि मैंने ऐसा सोचा तो नहीं था कि इधर एक बगलर होगा. तो हॉरिस भी बोला कि मैंने भी नहीं सोचा था कि इधर एक फैमिली मेंबर होगा, ठीक है. उसने बोला कि हाँ मैं करेक्ट टाइम पे आ गई, ठीक है. सो उसने पूछा कि अब तुम क्या करोगे. हॉरिस ने बोला सबसे पहले तो मैं दौड़ दौड़ के चला जाऊंगा. तो उसने कहा तो मैं पुलिस को कॉल कर लूँगी. तो उसने बोला कि मैं टेलीफोन के वायर कट करके जाऊँगा, ठीक है. हॉरिस नॉमिनल प्रोफेशन वाज मेक कीज एंड लॉक्स. हॉरिस का क्या दिखावा का प्रोफेशन क्या था? कीज एंड लॉक्स बनाने का, ठीक है. तो हॉरिस ने बोला कि he will make sure that she cannot do anything. उसने कहा कि she will be sure कि तुम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते. So the lady asked if he is going to hurt her. He replied he is just trying to frighten her. उसने बोला कि मैं सिर्फ फ्राइटन तुम्हें करना चाहता हूँ, ठीक है. लेडी ने क्या कहा, लेकिन मुझे कुछ डर नहीं लगता, ठीक है. ओके. Horace smiled. I'm not a man who threatens society. ठीक है. और एक चीज रह गई मैम. तो उसने कहा हॉरेस ने कहा तो यही सही होगा कि तुम मुझे भूल जाओ, ये बात ये भूल जाए. लेकिन फिर उसने कहा कि नहीं, तो तुम इधर नहीं तो दूसरी जगह पे जाओगे, राइट, रॉब करने के लिए. और सोसाइटी में ऐसा सोसाइटी को प्रोटेक्शन मिलना चाहिए, राइट. सोसाइटी शुड गेट प्रोटेक्शन. So Horace smiled. I am not a man who threatens society. I steal only from those who have a lot of money. I steal for a very good reason, and I hate the thought of prison. She laughed, and he begged, thinking that he had persuaded her. Look, I have no right to ask you for anything, but I am desperate. Let me go, and I promise I never to do this kind of thing again. I really mean it. She was silent, watching him closely. Then she said, You are really afraid of going to prison, aren't you? She came over to him, shaking her head. I have always liked the wrong kind of people. She picked up a silver box from the table and took a cigarette from it. Horace, eager to please her and seeing that she might help him, took off his gloves and gave her his cigarette lighter. You will let me go. He held the lighter towards her. Yes, but only if you will go, if you will do something for me. Anything you say. Before we left for London, I promised my husband to take my jewels to our bank, but I left them here in the safe. I want to wear them to a party tonight, so I came down to get them. But, Horace smiled. You have forgotten the number to open the safe, haven't you? Yes, replied the young lady. Just leave it to me, and you will have them within an hour. But I will have to break your safe. Don't worry about that. My husband won't be here for a month. I will have the safe mended by the time. And within an hour, Horace had opened the safe, given her the jewels, and gone happily away. ठीक है. तो अभी क्या हुआ? लेडी ने कहा कि मैं इन्फॉर्म कर दूंगी, ठीक है. तो उसने बोला कि मैं ऐसा नहीं हूँ जो सोसाइटी में सबको डराता है, ठीक है. तो कहा कि होरेस को लगा कि भाई मुझे ऐसा बोलना पड़ेगा कि मुझे जाने दो. उसने कहा कि मुझे जाने दो, ठीक है. तो लड़की ने बोला कि तुम्हें सच में अगर जाना हो तो मुझे एक हेल्प कर दो, ठीक है. तो उसने कहा कि मेरे हस्बैंड ने मुझे बोला था कि तुम है ना बैंक में सारे चीज़ें रख दो, लेकिन मैंने ये सेफ में रखे. तो मुझे अभी जो जहाँ पार्टी में जाना है उधर वो ज्वेलरी पहननी है. तो उसने बोला लेकिन मैं वही लेने के लिए आ रही थी, लेकिन तभी हौरे से बोला हाँ तुमने पासवर्ड भूल गई है, राइट. बोला हाँ. तो फिर बोला कि मुझे, फिर बीच में क्या हुआ, सिगरेट पीने के लिए उसे बॉक्स दिया, लाइटन अप करने के लिए ग्लव्स निकाले दिए उसके, राइट. तो अभी उसने बोला कि मुझे तोड़ना पड़ेगा. तो अभी वो तोड़ेगा तो उसकी फिंगरप्रिंट्स आ जाएगी, राइट, ग्लव्स क्योंकि पहले निकाल दिए थे, राइट. अभी आगे पढ़ते हैं. For 2 days he kept his promise to the kind young lady. On the morning of the third day, however, he thought of these books he wanted, and he knew he would wanted to, he would have to look for another safe, but he never got the chance to begin his plan. By noon, a policeman had arrested him for the jewel robbery at Shooter's Gang. His fingerprints, for he had opened the safe without gloves, were all over the room, and no one believed him when he said that the wife of the owner of the house had asked him to open the safe for her. The wife herself, a grey-haired, sharp-tongued woman of 16, said that the story of nonsense. The story was nonsense. Horace is now assistant librarian in the prison. He often thinks of a charming, clever young lady who was in the same profession as he was and who tricked him. He gets very angry when anyone talks about honor among thieves. Okay, so now after 2 days he kept his promise, but he again get trapped in her thoughts of books. ठीक है, उसने प्रॉमिस किया था कि वो कभी भी रॉप नहीं करेगा, ठीक है, और लेकिन उस वो वापस वो सोच में आने लगा, ठीक है. He told the owner herself told him to open it. Okay, sorry. तो वो जब तक कहीं और पे जाता है रॉब करने के लिए, तब तक पुलिस आ जाती है और वो उसको पकड़ के ले जाती है. फिर हॉरेस ने क्यों ले जाती है कि ग्रैंक शूटओवर ग्रैंक के वहाँ रॉबरी के लिए. तो उसने बोला कि लेकिन मुझे तो खुद जो ऑनर थी, उसने बोला लेकिन जो ऑनर थी ग्रे ग्रे कलर ग्रे हेयर्ड शार्प टंग, वो 60 ईयर्स की थी विमेन, ठीक है. उसने बोला कि ये स्टोरी नॉनसेंस है, ठीक है. और फिर हॉरेस को असिस्टेंट लाइब्रेरियन रख दिया प्रिजन की लाइब्रेरी में, ठीक है. और उसे हमेशा याद आता था कि वो लड़की कौन थी, और तब से उसे गुस्सा आता था कि थी उसके अमोंग भी ऑनर होना चाहिए. क्वेश्चन ऑफ ट्रस्ट, ठीक है, क्वेश्चन ऑफ ट्रस्ट. क्या एक थीव को दूसरे थीव के ऊपर ट्रस्ट करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए. तब से उसे वो बात सताने लगी, वो बात उसे गुस्सा दिलाने लगी, ठीक है. बीच में एक बात मैं कहना भूल गई थी, सॉरी, कि वो जो भी बुक्स मंगवाता था वो बीच में डीलर के थ्रू मंगवाता, ठीक है. उसने बोला कि हम एक थीप के बीच में दूसरे थीप के बीच में ऑनर एक दूसरे का रखना चाहिए, ट्रस्ट रखना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए. Therefore, it is the chapter names a question for